Let's speak about control. Control over your actions, control over your attitude, control over the food you choose to consume, control over the alcohol that you choose to consume, control over the vices, the negative actions and habits that you have a choice to either do or don't. I want to talk about that control. And I want to start off with a story that makes me chuckle when I think back to when I first heard it, and it was when I was in college football. And I remember our athletic director walked into the room and he started his speech off with, "Who controls who in the game with the Jew?" And everybody started laughing, and he was like dead serious. And this man, Professor Hummel was his name, he was a brick shit house. Dude was like an All-American in college, I believe in wrestling and football. And he'd always share all these stories about, when he was playing and the level of discipline that he had. And I looked up to this man, and he inspired me to work hard through college. And I remember this story when he started the speech off with, "Who controls who with the game with the Jew?" And so he talked about chewing tobacco, and he talked about drugs, and he talked about alcohol and the partying and even the womanizing in college. And he's, talking all about these temptations that we're going to face as student athletes. And at the time, I just, brushed it off my shoulder. I was like, this is college. It's party time, and so did everybody else. But now we fast forward to present day. I look back at that and I appreciated that message, because I would often think about that in certain situations in college. Am I making the right choice in this moment? This choice will have consequences. Do I have that level of control? And I'm thankful to say, there's only a couple of incidences where I did get in trouble. But I'm thankful that my level of achievement at the time, in the city that we were in, people knew people, and I got let off the hook a couple of times. So, lesson learned from those situations to have more control over alcohol, over other negative vices. And so we fast forward to today. Control over your nutrition, control over the alcohol, control over drugs, control over just your actions day to day. It's a very important subject to talk about, because it's what we talk about inside of Forest Father. The men that I work with, they have issues with control. There's many of them that have issues when it comes to the food they put into their body. They can't push the plate away. They can't skip out on the midnight snacks, the binge eating. But when they come in, I give them the system to develop this level of control through systems, processes, rewiring the mind. So they know when they're in these certain situations, they can control these negative habits and actions. A lot of them have issues with alcohol. Alcohol is very, very difficult. I saw my dad deal with alcohol growing up. Luckily, he was not someone that was abusive, but it was never fun dealing with a drunk at night, coming home, waking everybody up in the house. He had a control issue. There was a time in my life, college, after college, where I had issues controlling my alcohol consumption. And I feel a lot of it had to do with the fact that I thought, in order to fit in socially, be a part of, activities and events, holidays, it was something that I needed to do. But that's all bullshit. You fitting in, that's not what it's about. It's you being your own fucking person. So I made a decision this year, at the start of 2023, to give up alcohol completely. It doesn't serve me. Sure, there's situations that come up where, it's a social gathering. 4th of July is a perfect example this year. All the neighbors come together, big fireworks show, barbecue. It's just what you do. Crack open a beer. Enjoy your time with all your friends and family. But I've been able to control that situation. I don't need the alcohol to have fun. In fact, it's the alcohol that I think creates more fun that actually steals it away. And that was why I made the decision to completely cut alcohol out of my life at the start of this year. I had 2 drinks on New Year's Eve at a party that we went to. And I woke up the next day with a pounding headache. My head was foggy. And I just had a conversation with myself, like, do I want to ever feel like this again? Voluntarily? To make that decision and lose that control because I think I need to do it to fit into certain situations. I need to do it to have fun. It's just a bullshit story. It's a limiting belief. And so I made the decision to control my alcohol consumption at the start of this year. And it feels good every time I control that temptation. And there's been a number of times where it's like, I want to break. What's one drink going to do? But it's a commitment. It's control. It's building discipline in the moment. And so whether it's food, alcohol, there's a number of dads that I've worked with that struggle with porn addiction, these negative vices. Some have dealt with drugs, pills, painkillers, dependence on these things. And then they form into this type of individual that in their mind, they think they need it. Like going back to the alcohol, and I don't want to skip around here too much, but I just had a deep conversation with one of my guys this past weekend who has been crushing it, physically, absolutely crushing it, hitting milestones with his fitness. He's completed a number of events. He just completed a huge, massive running event that when he first signed up for it, he didn't think he was going to be able to complete it. And so we've put in all this time and this effort, and we're dialing things in across the board. And then he finally came clean. We were having a conversation. He's like, Travis, I gotta be honest with you, man. I've been drinking on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I can't seem to give it up. And when I asked him why, he's like, well, it's something that we've always done for years and years and years. Family gets together, so we pop a couple of bottles of wine, get out the good whiskey, and it's just something that we do. And I asked him straight up, I was like, do you feel like that actually creates more happiness and fulfillment with you, the fact that you have the alcohol? He's like, possibly. I was like, well, imagine removing it altogether. How would that have an impact on that situation? And thinking about it deeper, he said, you know what? Me actually giving up could persuade my wife to actually give it up, could actually persuade her parents to give it up, and it could actually massively impact the family gatherings as a whole. Maybe there wouldn't be any alcohol in the future. I said that's a good possibility. Because what I know when it comes to alcohol in general, there was never a time after that I had alcohol that I was just so fucking proud and fulfilled of myself. Like I was just so happy for myself on making that decision. But every single time I've passed it up and I've maintained control, I felt powerful. I've felt fulfilled to uphold that discipline. And so with this whole conversation of control, let me point it back to you who's either watching this video or you're listening to this podcast. What areas within your life do you need to have more control over? This is step number 1 in controlling these negative actions and habits and completely eliminating them. Step number 1 is awareness of these actual problems. Because some guys want to live in the land of denial. Just like this individual that I spoke with about his Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. He's like, I have complete control. And I was like, do you really? Could you just give it up like that then? Have you tried to give it up like that? And he's like, yeah, I have. You don't have control. That's bullshit. You're lying to yourself. You're living in denial. If it's not the alcohol, it's always the fucking food. I'm telling you right now, so many men have a control issue with their food. They know it's the exact reason they're gaining weight and they can't lose weight. It's the exact reason they're not building the physique that they desire. They might train all they want, but it's always the food. It's always where you lack control. And so that's step number one, is you need to look at the different areas of your life, whether this be your health and fitness, your physique, your relationships, your financials. Dig deep into these areas and where are you not having control? Where are you losing control? We need to become aware of where that is. So when you're in the moments, this is most important. When you're in these moments, you recognize the opportunity to make a fucking choice. And this is where you build strength. This is where you build resilience. This is where you build grit. This is how you become an unstoppable motherfucker, is you recognize when you're in the moment, when the food is right in front of your fucking face. That pie looks real good. That bowl of ice cream looks real fucking good. That nightcapper seems like it'll take the edge off. What do you do in that situation? Do you fucking cave and give into the comfort? Or do you express control and conquer the comfort? You have to understand and be aware when you're in the moment. Because here's the truth. Most guys talk about how they want to change. Most guys talk about how they're going to have control until they are in the exact moment where they lose control. They decide to have that one drink and they're like, I'll start Monday. I'll start on the first of the month. Fucking bullshit. It's all excuses and you're just justifying it. So if you want to make a change, you need to be aware. You need to know when you're in these moments of opportunity so you can conquer and overcome. And then lastly, you have a daily process that you follow that are built around standards and values and certain positive actions. And so once you have this daily process laid out for yourself, it's really just a matter of you being a disciplined individual and sticking to this process. And this roots deeper. Like if we're going to talk about being a certain individual, like you have to have a certain mindset that is connected to a certain set of beliefs and an identity. But I don't want to go that far below the surface in this episode. I'm just talking about how you can regain control over your negative actions and habits. What we do in the Forge Father digs deep into all of this stuff, and it actually starts with you, the individual, and getting very, very clear with what it is that you want, why you want it, so then you understand what the mission is daily for you to execute and implement on. That's your daily process. Actions that will help you conquer these negative vices and habits. Because when you have a certain process laid out for yourself, it doesn't fucking include alcohol. It doesn't include shit eating. It doesn't include sleeping in through your alarm. It doesn't include skipping your workouts. It doesn't include negative shit. And so anything that you add in that's negative, that's on you. You made the fucking decision to break. And so understand that you have the control. You have the control right now. You can make the decision right now. Doesn't matter what you did yesterday. Doesn't matter what you did last week. Doesn't matter what you've been doing for the past months or years that has put you in the position that you're in right now. Understand you are just one action away from moving further from that and becoming the man that you want to become. But you got to recognize that you're in the moment right now to make that happen. So I'm going to leave you off with this. If there are certain things that you don't have control of within your life, whether it be food, alcohol, porn, your financials, relationships, just your lack of fucking discipline across the board, write it down on paper. Write it down on paper. Share it with those closest to you. Share it with me. Send me a message on Instagram, Facebook. Get in touch. Get it off your shoulders. Don't fucking hide it. That's the first step, is to own up to the ugly ass truth and acknowledge the things that you don't actually have control over. Because if you continue to show up with a mask on and act like everything's okay, nothing's ever going to change. It'll be your little secret. But you let that loose into the world, now you got some accountability. Now you got some pressure to make a change. If you're wanting help with all this, this is what we do inside the Forge Father. It's not just about fitness. It's not just about nutrition. Those are two tiny little pieces to the puzzle. This is about personal development. This is about self-mastery. In order to master self, you must have control over self. And that is a part of the path to get yourself to be the best version of you, an uncommon man.